Hi everyone, welcome again to my channel. And I figured I'll do this video. I'm not sure how long it's gonna be. I tend to just get out of the way and talk about totally different things while I'm trying to stay on topic, so please forgive me. I'm doing this video because I've decided to go on somewhat of a little hiatus from social media. In light of the fact that I'm going to be having a baby in less than a month. So I just want to give myself that chance to get myself together mentally, to meditate and, not have a lot of distractions. So this is my engagement with you before I, disappear. So today I'm going to try to talk about, what I always preach on my social media pages again, like just being independent and being able to take care of yourself. And I think it's important that I just go a little bit back to my to the history of where that all comes from, because I believe that the things that we tend to tap into as an adult are highly influenced by where we come from. So I grew up surrounded by very independent women. I'd say most of them, it was not by choice, but just life handed them that kind of, circumstance, and they had to roll with it. For example, my paternal grandmother, she lost her husband. He was 40, and I think she was 38 at that time. I was born 2 months later, and she already had like 2 or 3 other grandkids before me. So imagine being 38, 3 or 4 grandkids, no husband, and never having an education and just living off the land. So she's the one who I got that sense of, being one with nature and just loving being at the farm and, eating natural food, because that is ultimately what I was born into. I was born on a little farm, Estenga, where my grandmother used to grow just about everything, and in every season she would gather all her grandkids and we'll all go to the garden and we'll all just get food off the land. At that time, of course, you don't really appreciate what's going on, but with time I've come to appreciate that that was her offering to us as her grandkids and as her family, and that was her asserting herself her independence. And it's just what she had to do. She had kids, she had grandkids, they had to eat, and she had land, and she had to plant stuff. There was no way around it. So looking back at that, I think, because people think when you say be independent, enjoy being single, whatever form that takes for you. For me, it just means that I'm not, I'm not I don't live with a dude. I'm 100% self-sufficient. My bills are paid, my lease, my mortgages, and my homes are paid by me, my car is paid by me, my insurance. That's what being single for me means. Now I am pregnant, so I didn't make the baby by myself. But, that's just basically what I'm trying to address. It doesn't mean that I hate men. I'm against getting married. That's not what it means. Going back to that, I mean, because I grew up watching women like my grandmother having no choice but to do things by themselves, it kind of taught me to be able to tap into that. And then I'm going to move on to my maternal grandmother. She was on the opposite end of the spectrum. She was verbose. She was loud and big and entrepreneurial. She had her own little tuck shop, and she sold alcohol, and she would curse people out. She was wild as compared to, oh my God, I live in the city, so excuse the background. So my grandmother, on my maternal grandmother, was basically just, she was wild. Anyway, she was also single, not because, she couldn't keep a man, couldn't find a man and all that. She was engaged, and on the day of her wedding, her husband's child, he had a child with another woman. I have to stop this, sorry. Oh, okay, it's quiet. Thank God. Anyway, her fiance had a child with another woman. So on the day of the wedding, he got a call to come in because the child was sick. So he left before they got, she was getting ready and he was just about to get ready, but, he had to go check out what's going on with this child. And he never came back. He passed, unfortunately. So that's how she ended up single. Again, not because she was bitter, couldn't keep a man, and all those things that people assume you are when, life throws situations and circumstances at you. So with that, now she had to kind of take care of herself, take care of their kids, and ultimately when my mom got divorced, we kind of, sort of fell into her lap as well, and she had to kind of help out a little bit here and there. And again, it was another circumstances where I got to observe a woman being entrepreneurial, being very, powerful, and just having to take care of her family by herself. And then my mom, my mom was married for a good hot minute, a decade, okay? Had all three of us in that institution, and that didn't work out. So she ended up divorced, got out while she was still relatively young, late 20s, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, yes, she was 26, because I know she had my sister at 26, and that's when she got divorced. So we then ended up in a home that she purchased. I'm skipping quite a few steps between then and to the home part, because that's a whole another vlog to do about just moving from a home to trying to find your center, and then having to get your kids a new home. She did, and when she did that, she ultimately, she met someone who really wasn't her. He was great with us. We still have a good relationship even now, but she would not marry him. Like, she refused to marry him. And, everybody would ask, like, why wouldn't you? I mean, you're still young, and he likes your kids. He's a decent guy. And these were her words. I remember them till now. I guess, that was coming from what she had experienced before. So she said, I purchased this house to give my kids security. God forbid something happens to me and he then has to move on, and my kids end up homeless because the new person he brings into the picture decide that they do not like my children. So I'd much rather have my kids alone here in my home, secure, and not living with a potential threat of possibly having to be kicked out of their home should anything happen to me. So basically that was that, till, she just never got married again. 3 women. So I watched my mom. I mean, I still don't know how she did it. Honestly, I watched her raise all 3 of us. There'll be an occasional cousin here and there. Again, there was never any bitterness. There was just that situation where you have to handle what life has handed to you, and you have to move along with it. So what I took away from that was that sometimes life doesn't give you any choice. Sometimes it doesn't give you that option of, having help or having a partner that comes in and, helps balance you out financially and gives you some sort of emotional support and loves you and all that stuff. So you have to learn as a woman to find your center, because, normally you stand on 2 feet, right? And then if it's just one of you, it kind of feels like you are standing on 1 foot, but you have to hop on that 1 foot, which means you have to be very well balanced. You have to find your center. And my center comes from understanding that at some point, nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you a life. Nobody owes to pay your bills. Nobody owes you happiness. Nobody owes you anything. So once you come into terms with that, and the fact that life just throws stuff at you randomly, I feel like it makes you so much happier to not dwell on anything negative that happens in your life. If something knocks you off your 1 foot, something knocks you off center, because you have no other option, you are forced to get up again, find your balance, and keep hopping on that 1 foot and get to where you're going. So with that said, I will then transition to the environment that we usually create for ourselves as women, where we love being amongst a group of friends. We love doing things, communally. We like going to restaurants together. We love going to movies together. We love going on these big girl trips. And God forbid something happens, the trip is not happening. Person can come with you to the movies, so now you're miserable at home because you don't want to go to the movies alone. Something happens and your friend can't come to the restaurant, and now you're sitting at home miserable because you really wanted to go but you can't go. This is where I differ. I differ in a sense that I'm okay having to go to a restaurant by myself. I'm okay sitting at the restaurant by myself, ordering and having every kind of person look at me like, oh, poor person, look at her, she's sitting by herself, so lonely and miserable. It is in those circumstances where I find the most joy, because that's where I find my center. That's where I determine who I am. That's when I do not order the wine that my boyfriend wants or enjoys, or my friends think, is affordable, or whatever the circumstance, usually is when you're sitting in a group of people in a restaurant and having to make sacrifices. Being able to be okay with sitting alone in a restaurant has done so much for me as a person, because I now know which wine is my favorite. Now, whether tomorrow another friend comes with me, a boyfriend takes me out, I can order a glass of that wine that I want without any apologies, because I know that that's what I want. And he can order his own bottle of wine or his own glass of wine or his cocktail or whatever else he wants to drink. And that is what I mean about being able to know who you are, because that just doesn't only apply to a restaurant situation. It applies to just life in general. You make moves from your city to a different city. That has to be on you. It does not have to depend on where your friends found a job or where your boyfriend thinks is appropriate for or convenient for you to move to. It's all about what you feel on the inside and what you really enjoy and what works for you in particular. And once you find comfort in that, there's really no stopping you, because you can move from one city to the next. You can move from one country to the other, because you are comfortable making decisions that work for you without having to tap into somebody else's energy, without having to need somebody to hold your hand and be there for you. So that is why I appreciate and I speak so highly about being able to just strike out on your own as a person. And again, I'm going to refer back. It is because in my life, and I don't expect this to work for anybody else, but it is because in my life, I've had circumstances where I'm surrounded by women who life forced to have to be comfortable with making their own decisions. So that is where I'm coming from when you see me tweet about things of no codependency, take care of yourself, be able to function fully as an adult. This is what I'm making this video, because I just want there to be an understanding that none of it comes from a bitter place. None of it comes from a place where you can't keep a partner. I've been engaged 3 times, and each time when I felt like I wasn't being true to myself, and the situation around my engagement or my relationship has been such that I'm having to compromise parts of me that I'm not willing to give up long term, I've done what's fair for me and my partner, and I've walked away from it. And I'm much happier for it. It is important that even when you choose a partner, or for me, when I choose a partner or when I choose a friend, a circle of friends to be around, that my energy feels like it's not being pulled left or right. I have to be able to exist in a space where me and another person have to coexist without losing ourselves to each other. What I mean by that is that if I'm hanging out with my friend and her friends come in, I don't have to be around if my spirit doesn't resonate with the other friends, because that's what contentment is. Contentment is being able to be in tune with your energy and being able to say, you know what, the space is not for me. I love you, but can we meet up again? Hey, nice to meet you guys. I gotta go. That's being comfortable in yourself and not liking the idea of being cool. I personally, I don't have to be cool. I don't have to be liked by anybody because I know what my spirit can and cannot handle. And more than being liked by other people, it's more important for me that my spirit it is not in turmoil. The same with relationships. I don't do together but tumultuous. Together has to be peaceful for me. And I know that, in a relationship, you gotta make compromises, you gotta be a ride or die, whatever it is, when I'm in a relationship and I feel like there's too much turmoil to my spirit, there's too many sacrifices, there's so many things that I'm finding myself abandoning that I used to enjoy that I can no longer do because of the next person, then that's just too much of turmoil for my spirit. That's when I choose to take the experience that I've had with this partner, embrace it for what it is, while I still love them, walk away and have them go find somebody who is gonna fit that kind of energy that, he prefers. I don't recommend it for everybody because I understand that everybody didn't grow up like me. Everybody didn't grow up with watching women, do things by themselves. And maybe for you, relationships are such that whatever happens, you hang in there because you saw your pet that worked for your grandparents and they're happier for it. And that's what you know from your household and your family was happy for it and better for it. Then that's the choice that you make. That's what you tap into because that's where your center is. I am centered in a way where just me alone is enough. Me alone can exist fully anywhere in the world and thrive. So yes, I did this video specifically so people understand my take on things moving forward in whatever videos I make in future, where if I'm saying, I'm enjoying, this single life, I just don't want anybody thinking that I am saying it to kind of throw shade at their marriage or at their partnership or whatever. I'm literally going from what I know and what's part of my background. So with that said, I should be going to bed because it's past midnight in the DMV area, and I hopefully will try to make another video before my son gets here because I don't know how wild that's gonna get. Again, this is his room. I'm gonna be shooting from his room until he gets here because I don't know how that's gonna go after, so I might be coming back with a different background. This is like the only room that has this wallpaper, so I'll be moving on to maybe doing my videos from the living room. So when you start seeing a different background, know that it's it's lit. My son has taken over. I wish everybody a great June. I will be gone for June, and I'll see you all hopefully in August. Take care. Bye.